cabinets are gonna be opened and closed somewhere between 25 and 30 times a day. I did the math, so you don't have to. That's close to 10,000 times a year. And if you pick the wrong cabinets, the wrong design, the wrong hardware, or the wrong construction, you're gonna feel it every single time. That's 10,000 times. And not all at once, just slowly, gradually, until one day you're standing in your kitchen furious at the drawer. I'm Blake, and welcome back to Built by Becker. Cabinets are one of those things where everyone wants to talk about the finish and the door style and the color. And I get it, that stuff matters. But the decisions that will cost you the most money and the most daily frustration have nothing to do with the color. They're structural, they're mechanical, and almost nobody talks about them before the cabinets are installed. We're gonna talk about them right now. Today, we're covering the cabinet mistakes that can run up to $5,000 or more to fix once your kitchen's already done. And more importantly, how to avoid every single one of these mistakes before your contractor shows up. Let's dive into it. But before we do, if you're in the early stages of planning a kitchen and you want the framework for getting it right the first time, go to builtbybeckermedia.com. It'll walk you through the decisions that matter the most and the money moves. The link's in my description. Let's get to it, guys. Number 1, cheap drawer glides. I want to start here because this is the one that hurts the most and shows up the least in any conversation about cabinets. When you're shopping for a kitchen, you're looking at door styles, finishes, the pretty hardware. I'm almost certain you're not looking at the drawer glides because they're inside of the box. And they all look vaguely the same in a showroom, and nobody really pointing them out. Why is this a problem? Drawer glides are the most mechanically stressed component in your entire kitchen. Every drawer, every day, loaded with weight, pots, utensils, dishes, being pulled out and pushed back in, and often with one hand, often with dirty hands, often with a hip bump to close it because your hands are full. Entry-level side mount glides, the kind that come standard in most builder grade cabinets, are rated for maybe 75 pounds. And a few years of that kind of use, they'll start to sag, stick, and lose their alignment. What you want is full extension, soft close undermount glides, rated for 100 pounds minimum, preferably Blum or Grass if you want hardware that's gonna genuinely last. These will cost you a little more. The upgrade across the whole kitchen runs maybe $1,000. Compare that to replacing a cabinet box because the cheap glides sagged and the drawer started scraping the frame, which damages the finish, which leads to moisture getting in, which leads to repair bill that starts to add up. You guys see where I'm going with this. The glides are not exciting part of the purchase. It's actually a boring part, but it's important. Number 2, the traditional corner cabinet. The double L corner cabinet is the design that looks completely reasonable in a showroom and becomes a genuine source of daily misery in your actual kitchen. I heard it described as a place where Tupperware goes to die. And yes, I believe that's accurate. You open both doors, you get on your knees, and then you reach into the dark triangle of whatever you stored in the back 6 months ago. And now it's lost forever. The functional problem is the geometry. A traditional corner cabinet is essentially 2 rectangles meeting at 90 degrees, and the only way to access all of it is to be physically inside of it. Most people maybe use 40% of the available space because the rest is either unreachable or they've just quit trying altogether. There are 2 solutions that actually work. The first is a blind corner pull-out system, a set of shelves mounted on a sliding mechanism that extends out sideways and brings everything to you. You pull the front section out and the back section follows on a linked arm. And suddenly the entire corner is accessible from a standing position. It costs more upfront, somewhere around $300 to $600, depending on which company and hardware you choose, but you will use 100% of that corner instead of 40%, and you will not need a headlamp to find your cast iron skillet. The second option, and sometimes the better one depending on your layout, is to simply not put a cabinet in the corner at all. You could use that space for a corner drawer bank or a dedicated appliance garage. Not every inch of a kitchen needs to be enclosed storage. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do with a corner is something other than fight it. I'm Blake from Built by Becker, and I inspect other people's foundations for a living. And I know what it looks like when something's being ignored for too long. And I figured maybe it's time I stop ignoring my own foundation. I'm talking about health. So I partnered with Function Health, and I just completed my first round of blood work. Over 100 biomarkers tested. Heart, hormones, inflammation, toxins, metabolism. Great doctors are behind this. who focus on the science of root cause. No insurance hoops, no pushy supplement sales. This is clean, honest data about what's going on inside of your body. Guys, that lab visit took less than 20 minutes, and there are 2,000 locations across the US. If you want to stop guessing and start knowing, check the link in my description. Functional Health is $365 a year. Guys, that's $1 a day. And the first 1,000 people to join using my link get $25 credit towards their membership. Take care of your foundation, people. This is built by Becker approved. Number 3, upper cabinets that go all the way to the ceiling without a plan. This one may be more of a trap than a mistake. In theory, taking your upper cabinets all the way up to the ceiling sounds like a win. And I've even discussed this on other videos. More storage, taller, more dramatic. Visually, it can be great. The problem is that nobody thinks through what they're actually going to put up there and how they're going to get to it. The top 18 inches of any cabinet run above standard reach height. For most people, that means anything you store up there requires a step stool to retrieve. What ends up happening in almost every kitchen I've been in with ceiling height uppers is that the top sections become a holding area for things you can't decide where to put. Stuff you use twice a year at most, things that have migrated up there because they've had nowhere else to go. It looks good from the outside and it functions like an attic shelf. If you want to go to the ceiling, build it in. Put glass front doors on the top section if you want to display things. Or go open with lighting and treat it as an intentional display space. If you're planning on closed door storage all the way up, think honestly about what you're gonna put up there before you sign off on the plan. Storage you can't easily access is just a more expensive place to lose things. But if you're someone who loves storage and needs to put those things away for the usage a couple times a year and don't mind a step stool, up to the ceiling cabinets is great. Face frame construction in high use kitchens. This is one that'll start an argument in any cabinet showroom, and I'm making it anyways. Face frame cabinets, the ones with the solid wood frame across the front of the box, are traditionally an American cabinet construction, and they have a loyal following. They also have a significant drawback that matters a lot when working in the kitchen. The face frame eats into your opening. The frame is typically 1 inch to 1.5 inches of usable interior width. On a 15-inch wide cabinet, that's a real percentage of your space. Drawer glides have to mount to the frame rather than the box, which means your drawers are a little narrower and your hardware options are a little limited. If you're going to do full extension drawers, which you should, frameless construction gives you more usable interior space with the same exterior footprint. Frameless cabinets, also called European style, have a box-to-box construction where the drawer and the door openings to the full interior of the cabinet. You get more space, better hardware capability, and in most cases, cleaner interior. The trade-off is that the construction tolerance is tighter and frameless cabinets installed slightly out of plumb looks slightly wrong in a way that a face frame cabinet is more forgiving about, which means your installer matters more with frameless. Get a good one and don't cheap out on that part. Cabinets are the single most expensive line item in a kitchen, and also a line item where the decision that costs you later are almost never ones that get talked about in the design stage. Get the hardware right before you worry about the finish. Solve the corner before you commit to the layout. Think about how you actually cook and move in a kitchen before you sign off on any plan that looks good on paper. And if you want help thinking through all that before the money is spent, you can check that link in my description, and we have resources waiting for you. It's cheaper than one cabinet repair, I'll tell you that. And I'll see you guys on the next one. This has been Built by Becker.